I'm Professor Stephen Wynn. I'm the head of Teacher Education and Early Childhood at the University of Southern Queensland, which its core business is around the initial teacher education space. That is the preparation of graduate teachers from early childhood all the way through to senior secondary and beyond. I was looking at the Kubi telepresence device as a way in which we could engage particularly people in a range of settings that typically would not be engaged or would use what I refer to as 20th century paradigm modes of connectivity. The Kubi presence gives the opportunity, and we've trialled this in a couple of settings outside of standard school-based settings, that enables the community to be engaged through using standards-based video conferencing, what's called a soft codec, which is a compression device within the unit itself, to actually enable people to be connected across distance. The Kubi's two features which enable it to function very well is the capacity to actually pan, that is to go across a space, and tilt. The issue we're having with connectivity is in fact distance and the capacity to actually engage people with the degree of expertise that's required in those places. Now we could take a 20th century paradigm which uses what's called a DIDO, drive in, drive out, or FIFO, fly in, fly out, to make those connections, and then revert back to keystroke engagement, typically via email, or perhaps occasionally provide a webinar. That's clearly found to not really meet the needs of people within rural and remote and even corridor-based areas. And for the University of Southern Queensland, that would include places like in the Lockyer Valley, and also those with an ICSIA, that is the scale of socioeconomic status below 1,000. The capacity to actually think outside of standards ways of actually engaging, or in fact ways that are driven by systems, is how using a Kubi telepresence can be positively disruptive. So in that way, let me give you an example. You can be positively disruptive around things by thinking that if someone is not there, and for example, preparing pre-service teachers and the use of ICT within their classroom, looking at how you can actually say, well, when children have illness, when children have long-term conditions that take them away from the classroom and by the nature their cohort of friends, and in case people weren't actually aware of that, the only environment left in our society where we know it's consistent, that is 6 hours a day, 5 days a week for 42 weeks of the year, is a school. Nothing else actually comes to that. In fact, even at home, you might sleep in your home longer as a child, but basically your communication with your parents, if you're in long daycare, it might be just an hour in the morning. When you come home, a couple of hours before you go to sleep at night. And if you're at school, just before you go to school, you might be in out of hours school care, before school and after hours school care as well. So the amount of time you actually spend with your parents is not as great as it would be with teachers. So developing teachers, utilising ICT, the Kubi telepresence provides an opportunity to not have those children who might have health issues and their long-term implications for their learning to be disengaged, to actually be able to be connected wherever they might be and be part of that classroom. And that's about reshaping that whole paradigm about how you can be connected. And the Kubi telepresence, because it's portable, uses Wi-Fi, can put in there with the device a standards-based video conferencing capability, can actually be that virtual student at the desk in the classroom.